This is the Life by Design with Angela Weiss podcast, episode 57. You're allowed to protect your peace, boundaries, guilt, and carrying too much. Welcome back. I'm your host, Angela Weiss. I'm a dual board certified nurse practitioner and an author, and I'm here with you today. Before we jump in, if these conversations encourage you in any way, would you just take a second to follow the podcast? It helps more people find these episodes, and I truly appreciate every single one of you who listens, shares, and leaves a review. If you're looking for more encouragement, you can also find my books on Amazon. Search my name, Angela Weiss. I write about faith, grief, healing, resilience, mental health, creating a life by design, and, well, a lot of other things too. So, let's get into today's conversation. Today I want to talk about protecting your peace. That phrase has become really popular over the last few years. You'll see it on social media all the time. Protect your peace. But what does that actually mean? Does it mean cutting people out of your life, or does it mean avoiding difficult conversations? Does it mean never helping anyone? No. Protecting your peace means recognizing that your emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual health matter too. And for many of us, that isn't something we've been very good at. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that everyone who struggles with boundaries is a people pleaser. Honestly, that's never really been me. I've never had a hard time speaking the truth. I've made difficult decisions and left places that weren't good for me. I've changed jobs, I've started over, and I've done hard things when people don't even understand them, and that's okay. So my struggle has never really been about people pleasing. My struggle has been something different. Responsibility. I've always been the person who thought, if it needs to be done, I'll do it. If someone needs help, I'll help. If I can carry it, I should. Maybe you can relate to that. Especially if you're a nurse, a doctor, a therapist, a teacher, a first responder, a parent, or simply the person in your family everyone depends on. When you're capable, people naturally begin depending on you. And at first that feels really good. It feels meaningful, and you know you're making a difference. You know you're helping, but somewhere along the way being responsible can become carrying responsibilities that were never yours in the first place. I've seen this over and over again in healthcare. We're trained to notice what other people miss and trained to anticipate problems before they ever even happen. We're trained to step in before things fall apart. That's a wonderful quality when you're taking care of patients. But sometimes we bring that same mindset home. In all of our relationships, we start fixing everyone's problems and we start carrying everyone's emotions. We start making everyone else our responsibility. Their responsibilities become ours. And before we know it, we're exhausted. We're carrying more than one person was ever designed to carry. One thing I've learned is that there's a huge difference between helping someone and believing you're responsible for everything, everywhere. You can love people without rescuing them. You can care deeply without carrying every burden they have. And you can pray for someone without trying to control the outcome. That's hard, especially when you genuinely love people. For me, guilt has probably been a bigger struggle than boundaries themselves. Have you ever noticed how guilty you can feel when you finally decide to rest? You sit down and immediately your brain starts to make a list. The laundry, the dishes, the emails, the charting, the errands, the phone calls, the projects around the house, the things you should be doing instead of enjoying your rest. You're thinking about everything that still isn't finished. Does that sound familiar? I think many of us have been conditioned to believe that our value becomes from what we accomplish. The more productive we are, the more valuable we must be. The busier we are, the more successful we must be. And the more exhausted we are, the more dedicated we must be. That's not actually true. Exhaustion isn't a badge of honor. Burnout is not proof of faithfulness. Running yourself into the ground doesn't make you a better parent or a better spouse or a better provider or a better Christian. It just makes you tired. And eventually, it steals your joy. One of the biggest warning signs that you've been carrying too much is resentment. And that doesn't mean you're a bad person. But because resentment often grows where healthy boundaries have been ignored. It's what happens when you've said yes, long after your heart wanted to say no. It's when you're giving from obligation instead of generosity. It's when your body keeps saying, I need a break, and your mind is saying, one more thing here. I've also learned that overfunctioning can unintentionally keep other people from growing. Think about that for a minute. If I always solve your problems, when do you learn to solve them? If I always rescue you, when do you discover your own strength? Sometimes what feels like love is actually preventing someone else from growing. That is a difficult realization because most of us have good intentions, but healthy love doesn't always rescue. Sometimes healthy love encourages. Sometimes it teaches, and sometimes it waits. Sometimes it lets someone experience the consequences of their own choices, and that's okay. Let's talk about saying no. I think we make this so much harder than it has to be. We think we owe everyone a detailed explanation, and we think we have to justify every decision that we make. We think we have to convince people that our boundary is reasonable, but we don't. Sometimes I'm not available is enough. I can't commit to that. I've already made other plans. I'm taking some time to rest. Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm going to have to pass. Notice something? None of those are rude. None of them are selfish. They're simply honest. And here's another truth. Not everyone is going to like your boundaries. The people who benefited from your lack of boundaries may be the first people who become uncomfortable when you create them. That doesn't mean your boundaries are wrong. It simply means the relationship is changing. Healthy relationships adjust. Unhealthy ones often resist. One of my favorite examples of healthy boundaries comes from Jesus. He healed, he taught, he loved people deeply, but he also withdrew to quiet places. He prayed, he rested, he spent time alone. He didn't heal every person in every town, and he didn't respond to every demand immediately. He knew his purpose. If Jesus made time to step away, why do we think we have to be available every minute of every day to every person? You do not have to earn rest. You don't have to prove your worth through constant productivity. You don't have to carry every burden. Some things don't belong to you. Some things belong to other people. And some things simply just aren't yours to carry. Maybe protecting your peace today looks like taking a walk, or maybe it means turning the phone off for an hour. Maybe it means finally taking your lunch break, or maybe it means going to the gym instead of answering one more email. If it takes you that long to answer an email, that's a long email, by the way. Maybe it means sitting on your porch while you're watching the sunset without feeling guilty that something inside the house isn't finished. By the way, that's what I'm doing right now. Maybe it means saying no to one thing. No is a complete sentence. So yes, you can say yes to some things and you can say no to others, and that's okay. Here's what I've discovered. The healthier I become, the better I am for everyone around me. I'm more patient. I'm more compassionate. I'm more present. I listen better. I love better. I make better decisions. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's stewardship. It's taking care of the one life that was entrusted to you. So today I want to leave you with 3 questions. What are you carrying that isn't actually yours? Where have you confused being responsible with being responsible for everything? And what is one boundary you could put in place this week that would bring you a little more peace into your life? You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to protect your mental health. And you are allowed to say no. You're allowed to have room for joy. You're allowed to laugh. And you are allowed to enjoy the one life that was given to you. You're allowed to trust that God is perfectly capable of all the things that you don't need to carry. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, I'd love for you to follow this channel. By the way, I'm not sure if you can hear the background noise, but about 4 houses down from me, there are children. And they are loud children who are part of this podcast today. They are very happy children. You can follow me on Instagram at Angela Weiss Author. Facebook is Life by Design Press. LinkedIn is Angela Weiss. And I'll put my author website in the show notes. This podcast is for educational purposes only, and listening does not create a provider-patient relationship. If you are in the middle of a crisis, call 911 or 988 in the United States or Canada. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.